And we do want to welcome you to the C&C Auto Show. I'm your host, Aaron Clements, and on this show, we talk about all things about transportation. Whether you're a car enthusiast, maybe looking for some advice on how to maintain your vehicle, or even just somebody that appreciates a good travel story, this show is for you. We'll be covering everything from automotive repairs to electric vehicles and news. So get ready, buckle up, and join this ride. And I'm here with Dexter Chancey. Dexter, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. How are you?
I am doing great. Man, I have been wanting you here for a long, long time. One of the main reasons is I respect you and your company so much. You take care of a lot of our customers because many times we either get we need someone to help because we're behind, or there's times where something just many other companies call you to do their towing, and so you take great care of our people.
Thank you.
And the drivers that come by are very courteous, and of course everyone knows that this show is played in a lot of other areas. And what this is meant to do is not only increase awareness on things that you can do in towing here in this area, but also any area, because most people end up, unfortunately, having to have their car towed at one point in time.
Right.
Whether it's a breakdown or an accident. Yes. So we'll be talking about all of those things.
Fantastic.
And we'll be covering some fun stuff, having a good time on all the things that we'll be covering, and I'll be asking you a lot of questions, and I know you'll have a lot of tips to share with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of years doing this and can't wait.
Yeah, you have been doing it a long time. Dexter, I always start the show with a tech tip quiz. Would you mind if I go ahead and toss that out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, the winner will receive a prize package that is kind of huge. It's a big deal. It really is. Yeah, big deal. It's a coffee mug. But it's really more than a coffee mug, because when that person wins, they'll forever more be known as a tech tip quiz winner. Yeah. They were standing out. They were like the Prince was standing there, and this other person that had won were standing there, and somebody looked up and said, "Who's that standing there with the tech tip quiz winner?" That's just it's huge, man. Okay, here is the question. Justin was he has a pretty normal 85 Thunderbird. Last week it was parked in Florida, and thousands of people came out to see it. Why did that many people come out and want to see an 85 Thunderbird? So if somebody knows the answer to that, they give us a call, and we will be here, and you may be the winner of a Tech Tip Quiz winner. Well, if you answer it right, you will be the winner of a Tech Tip Quiz winner. Okay, let's get cranked up on talking about some towing, because this is gonna be great. A lot of good stuff. First, let's break the ice by telling us just a little bit about Chancey Towing, how it got started, how you got started, just a little history involved here.
My dad started the business 35 years ago. Actually, when I was a baby, he was in the union for the electrical workers, and they wanted him to move away, and I was a baby, so he decided that he did not want to move away. He wanted to stay local, and he had some towing experience with my grandfather before. My grandfather owned an automotive shop down here. He did some hauling and stuff like that, and that was kind of where he got the roots from towing from, and decided that he wanted to start his own business at that point. He started his own business with one truck in this area of Augusta, Georgia, and has built it now to over a fleet of 40.
That's what I was going to ask.
Total, between tow trucks, hauling equipment, so forth, stuff like that. I think we have a fleet of over 40 now.
And I think the 40 is a little misleading, because some of those 40 should count as like 5.
Yes.
There are some big trucks.
Yes, sir. Yeah. There's some massive trucks in that fleet.
Yeah, I love that. That was, I mentioned before, that was one of the Something I'll always remember very closely is one time your father pulled up and it was late in the afternoon and we had an opportunity to talk a good bit. And he had just purchased this tow truck. And it was the largest, most beautiful tow truck I'd ever seen in my life. And it was kind of dark in there, and he cut those lights on, and it was just crazy what it looked like. And it was just, we had such a great conversation, and he was such a wonderful person. And I know he is very proud of you, what you're doing,
Yes,
carrying on with this. And of course, not to mention, you're here now to help not only this area, but also give some tips on for other people in other areas on things that they can do.
Yeah, the industry as a
Dexter,
whole.
one of the things that we do here on the show is we give callers a lot of priority.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're here, so I'm going to do that now. We got a phone call here,
Okay.
and we will go over to David. David, welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Well, I think I may know the answer to the quiz.
Oh, know the answer to the quiz. Well, you know what we need to do before you give it a shot here. We'd like to put you on stage. All right, David, take your sunglasses off. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to read the question real quick. Justin has a pretty normal 85 Thunderbird. Last week it was parked in Florida, and thousands of people came out to see it. Why did that many people come out to see an 85 Thunderbird? Okay, Justin. David, all eyes are on you.
That was an anniversary edition.
Oh, so that many people come out for that. Wow, that would have been, let me see, anniversary edition, though, that would have, I can't quite picture that. Let me put that in front of the judges. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't quite know if it was anniversary edition or not, and the judges are all kind of thinking and talking with each other, and let's see what they say. Oh, David, man, I am so sorry. That was a good try, though. Hey, we appreciate it very much.
Got to try.
Yeah, you got to try. Give it.
Thank you.
Yep, you can't win without trying.
That's right.
Hey, thank you. Okay, the number to call, 800-224-9090. If you have a question about your car, truck, SUV, or a question about towing a vehicle, what you should do if you break down, any of these things, you give us a call, and we will be sitting here ready. Dexter will be answering the towing questions. I'll be answering the automotive questions. Okay, we were talking about some of the vehicles towing and all. Now, Chancey Wrecker Service, you're involved in towing accident vehicles, also, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. Do you ever see that? Have you ever noticed this? I noticed this in working with accident vehicles, and for whatever reason, it just pops into my head as we're talking. I seem to see that a lot of the cars that are involved in accidents have bald tires. Do you ever see anything like that or notice it?
Yes, sir. A lot of the stuff that we see are kind of one of those things where, like, wow, this probably really shouldn't have even been on the road.
Uh-huh.
And you just kind of wonder, you just wonder what led to that scenario. You got to think that the bald tires or the mechanical failures that were already existing.
Or an iPhone.
Exactly, or not a phone, yes. Which is why they passed the law for you not to be on your cell phone while you drive.
Yeah.
Unless you have a hands-free device. So even that little bit of distraction can cause an incident very quick.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I'm Aaron Clements here with Dexter Chancey of Chancey Towing Service and Wrecker Service. If you have a car question or a towing question, give us a call, 800-224-9090. That's on any Saturday morning, 8 to 10. We'll be right back. We're towing specialist Dexter Chancey, and I'm here to answer your automotive questions. Dexter's here to answer your towing questions and to share some tips about towing, best way to have your car towed, just a lot of different things in that area. You give us a call. That number is 800-224-9090. You can also watch this show live on Facebook or YouTube. Give us a call. And we have been talking about towing. I will we will go to the phones. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Time to go to the phones. Let's go over and talk to I don't have an exact name. I got G here. Hey, welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with today?
Okay, am I on the air?
Yes, you are on the air, and we are ready to talk to you.
Okay, my name is Ricky, and I know the answer to the tech quiz.
Oh, you sound pretty sure of yourself. You didn't say I might know the answer or there's a chance I have the answer. You said I know the answer. Whoa, you got confidence. Okay, let me read the question real quick. Justin, as a pretty normal 85 Thunderbird, last week it was parked in Florida. Thousands of people came out to see it. Why did that many people come to see an 85 Thunderbird? All right, what is the answer? Oh, hold on. Now, what is the answer to today's Tech Tip quiz?
Well, it was a jet. It was an F-35 Thunderbird, or it was a Air Force Thunderbird would be more correct, I guess.
An Air Force
It
Thunderbird.
wasn't a car. It was
Now,
a jet.
let me see what the judges are saying on this. They're all thinking about it, scratching their heads, looking at each other, and their cards are coming up. What do they say?
Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They are going absolutely crazy. And you're absolutely right. The Justin is Justin Elliott, and he's the commander leader of the Thunderbird Aircraft One. And it is a normal Thunderbird, but it is an awesome Thunderbird. It's an F-16, and it's part of the Thunderbirds Air Show. And last week, they were parked in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with an air show. They had a beautiful air show there. And get this now, on May 13th, 1 week from today, they are having the Thunderbirds will be here in Augusta, Georgia. Those, if anywhere nearby, it would be worth coming to see the Thunderbirds because it's one of the more awesome things you'll ever see. They'll be at the Augusta Regional Airport, and that's May 13th. Come see the Thunderbirds because it's actually mega awesome. plus, the C&C Auto Show will be live there at the airport on the flight line doing the show. Now, the airplanes won't be flying yet, but we will have a show there, and we'll be talking to a lot of fun people. And you are the winner. So I'm going to get you to hang on hold so that Mason can write down all of your critical information in there, our producer, Mason Rogers, and we appreciate you calling in and answering our Tech Tip quiz.
Yes, sir.
Are you excited?
Oh, there. Yeah.
Are you besides yourself?
Yeah, I'm a 50.
All right. Well, calm down. You're gonna be good.
The fair show was next.
Yeah. Just breathe. Breathe. Okay. Hey, we appreciate you calling. All right, I'm gonna put you back over to Mason. Okay. And the number to call is 800-224-9090. If you have a question about your car, your truck, or your SUV, you give us a call. We'll shoot over to another call here. Let's see here. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Yes, I have a 97 Ford Expedition. The theft light came on while I was driving. I wonder if there's a way to clear that code.
So the theft light come on while you were driving?
Yes, and then I got it to the yard and it wouldn't let it start up or do anything else. But it goes in drive and park and in the neutral, but for some reason that theft light just jumps back on. Every time I try to hook the battery and tried that method, but it didn't work.
Are you absolutely
And I'm
sure
wondering-
that you're in the right expedition? Is there a chance that could be
97 Ford
somebody
Expedition
else's?
XLT.
It's the same color and everything as yours, right?
Yes, but for some reason the key is not the original key that goes to it.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I'm wondering. It's not an original key.
Oh, you're
but
telling me some stuff now. Okay, now. So, all right. So, where did the key come from?
we bought it in 2014, and it just came with a PATS key. And I'm wondering, could that PATS key be the problem?
Yes, it could.
But it's always started.
Yeah.
But it always started up, and I didn't have much of a problem until just now.
Yeah. Well, you're going to find there's a lot of the codes that are stored that have to do with, well, when it just starting, I kind of doubt it's the key. If it all of a sudden you're using the same key as you always use, all of a sudden it does that, then my guess is it's probably not that key that made the light come on. Some of the things that we see that can make those lights come on could be the little switch mechanisms inside the doors that tells the computer that the doors are closed. You can find there's other things that can affect that. There's trouble codes that is going to be stored in there if that light's on. It's just a piece they don't clear when you disconnect the battery, and just a regular quick code reader is not going to pick that up. You're going to need it hooked up to an IDS computer, which will let a technician get into other sections of that computer and find out for sure what's wrong. I was trying to think of anything fast you may be able to do. Maybe go around, scoot some PB blaster inside some of the little door switch mechanisms, open and close all the doors extra good. Make sure your horn does work, and you may check the fuses. But other than that, it would need to go to a technician to have checked out. Okay?
Okay, how much did that usually run?
Well, to open and close the doors is zero. But the hooked IDS up is about 150.
But the technician.
Yeah, if you run the test on the IDS,
Okay.
you get it in about 150. Okay?
Okay, that's not bad, because I wanted to get it back on the road as soon as I can, so I appreciate the
Absolutely.
advice.
Hey, good luck. Thank you. Okay, we'll be right back after this. The Auto Show. We are here talking to Dexter Chancey, and we are talking about towing and having your car towed, different things to do with towing. A lot of it's a lot of interesting things that we need to cover having to do with that. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we covered as we were talking has to do with towing safety. And I really feel like there's a lot of things that other drivers can do to help the tow truck driver and the person who is maybe waiting there with their vehicle. If we see a tow truck there, or even see a vehicle that's parked over there waiting to be towed. Dexter, what's some things that a person can do if they see either a tow truck on the side of the road or a car that needs to be towed on the side of the road?
Honestly, just attentiveness is number one, and then I would say pay attention to the lights and look for the person. If you see a tow truck, there's somebody there, so look for that person to be out working, kind of, adjust your speed to be able to, if something happens,
Kind of look that
correct.
way enough to tell who's standing there.
Right, yeah, slow down. Everybody calls it slow down, move over. You don't always necessarily have to move over, but I mean, slowing down to a safe speed to where you could stop if something happened makes a big difference versus, coming by at 75 miles an hour.
Yeah. And you saying that kind of mentioned something, because we were talking a little bit as we were on the break, that a lot of times somebody will see a tow truck and they'll just the time they get up on it, they'll just slow down really fast, and that can cause even a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Whereas instead, look ahead, kind of not only look at the road right in front of you, but look ahead, and if you see a tow truck or a vehicle on the side of the road, then you have plenty of time to just let off the gas and and slow down that way as opposed to hitting your brakes real quick, and you're able to leave a lot more room for the car in front of you. If you can move over, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
If traffic is in a way to where you can't, just kind of look up there and see if you actually see the driver somewhere, so you'll know that they're safe and they're on the other side, and just going by the accident that way.
Yeah, and it honestly, sometimes it takes people not learning from experience, but being on the side of the road themselves and realizing what it feels like with cars coming by at 75, 85 miles an hour to say, holy crap, I should maybe next time when I break down or when someone breaks down, I'll be a little bit more attentive to the situation.
Another good item that I think it would be important to talk a little bit about. What if someone is on, let's say, an interstate, they're riding down the road, all of a sudden they have an issue, whether it's a flat tire or the engine stops running or something happens till they have to pull over to the side of the road. What's some of the things that driver can do to be safe while they're waiting on the tow truck to arrive?
We always like for people to try to go to the right-hand shoulder of the road. Just it's a little bit bigger working area, especially in our area and most areas around. A lot of people in areas are coming up with what's called like a Jersey wall. So it's that big concrete median in between the two different traveling lanes. So when you pull up right there, there's just enough room for a car to fit there. So which kind of when the tow truck comes, it's wider than the car, makes it a little bit sketchy trying to work up against that wall, and there's really nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Turn on your hazards, of course, slowly and safely try to make it to the right shoulder. If you can't make it to the right shoulder, it's understandable. Try to keep half of the car in the grass and half on the concrete. Normally, after you get off that right-hand shoulder, there's some grass that kind of goes down into a ditch area. We've seen people where they absolutely go all the way down into the grass ditch, which at that point, it's no longer just a back up, tow it, load it, and go. It's a recovery at this point to get it out of the ditch just to get it to where you can tow it.
Yeah.
Which the longer you're on the side of the interstate, the more at risk you are in the towing or recovery industry.
Yeah. So it might be good if people kept a couple of things in their vehicle. One would be some reflectors to put in the back. To me, one thing I always like to have in my vehicle is a spare charging cord. I keep it in the back, and I have a little box in the back of my vehicle full of things that I might need. Of course, I drive a convertible, so I like to have a bottle of suntan lotion in there too, because if I'm going somewhere and it's hot, I do it. I have suntan lotion. I have a charging cable for my phone to go, and I have a little small basic things, pliers and stuff like that. But also some reflectors. That way, if you have a problem on the side of the road and it's nighttime, you can put some reflectors out a little further back to make sure that you can be seen. And like you said, hazard lights, possibly even dome light, whatever you have to do to make sure that you can be seen. Now, I was thinking one thing that a lot of people don't think about how important this is. That's when you're driving, you want to keep at least a quarter of a tank of gas in your car, because let's say you're riding around and you're looking for something, and all of us, it's nighttime, could be really hot outside, could be really cold outside, but in the effort of trying to find a driveway, boom, you get stuck.
Yeah.
All right, the wheel's stuck in the mud. All right, wouldn't it be nice to have some either AC or heat while you're waiting?
Yes.
And feel comfortable about it. But if you're sitting there on E, then boom. Not to mention, there's some places you may think that there's a gas station in the next 10 miles, so you're not worried about it, and you're on E. So next thing you know, there's no gas station.
Right.
And then you have to you need to go to the restroom too. So you got 10 miles of on E, having to go to the restroom.
Oh, yeah.
And that can be a little rough on you. All right. So keep plenty of gas in your car. Keep some reflectors in your car. Keep a extra phone charger. Call for help and park in a place to where the tow truck can pull your car. Don't park in the middle of a parking lot and know that and say, well, I'm going to have it towed tomorrow, and then that be something like a mall to where there's cars all around it. Park somewhere where a tow truck driver can get to it if possible. They'll work with whatever you have.
Yeah.
But if you can make it easier for them, that's good. Hey, let's go over to the phones. we will go over to Charles. Charles, welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Hey, Aaron, long time. How you been doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Charles, you used to call the show a lot, and welcome back. Where in the world have you been?
Well, I've been, I guess, behind the scenes. There's been some of the quizzes that I didn't want to embarrass myself with, so I didn't call. But you have a interesting topic today about towing cars, and you have one, if not the best towing company representative sitting there with you, Mr. Dexter.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree.
No problem.
Beautiful company.
I've had to use. I've had to use your company several times, and there was no decision about who I was going to call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're trying to come up. We sharing some ideas on ways to make it to where towing industry is safer, and kind of share ideas on things that people can do to stay safe while their car is while they're waiting on tow trucks, or if they have to have their car towed. Because safety is number one. You can talk about a lot of the other stuff, but the main thing is to stay safe.
Yes, of course. That's why I want to give him and his company high accolades, and I want to say congratulations on you for being on the with this show for how many years now? 10 years?
I would say at least that, yeah. Longer than I'm going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
But I've enjoyed every minute of it. I still do.
But every year, it seems to be getting better and better, okay?
Well, that is very nice of you to say that, Charles. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Charles.
All right. Yeah. No problem, Dexter.
All right. You have a great day now.
And y'all too.
All right. It was great to hear from Charles. That was
nice.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's always good to hear some affirmation that what you're doing doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah. And are you going to mention, we're going to need to pull over, and we will be back on the road shortly. So give us a call, 800-224-9090. We'll be right back. Aaron Clements answering automotive questions. Dexter Chancey is over here, and he's answering towing and wrecker service questions and sharing some great tips with us. And we are ready for your questions. You give us a call, 800-224-9090, and we are ready to go. Let's go over and go to a phone call here with Billy. Billy, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help you with?
Well, I got a couple tips about towing. One, I had some friends that went to the Georgia-Florida game several years back. They were coming home. It was nighttime. They had a flat tire. Both of them got out of the vehicle to get the jack and stuff out. A guy in a tractor trailer dozed off and ran into them and killed both of them. So be aware of your surroundings. If there's two of you, one of you watch out what's behind you so you don't wind up getting killed. The second thing is, if you go to Myrtle Beach and you're going to park at any public parking meter down there and you got a handicap tag, you don't have to pay a dime and they can't tow you.
Oh, so if you got handicap, they cannot tow your vehicle, and you won't have to pay a fine. That's a great tip, because I'm sure there's a lot of other places the same way like that. But in mentioning the other part, Dexter and I were talking just a little earlier about, to me, how unsafe it is to try to change a tire out on the interstate.
On the interstate, for sure.
You're pretty much, I've done it before, not necessarily changing a tire, but I've helped to tow vehicles or done the towing on vehicles out on the interstate, and it is a very dangerous situation. So things that you can do to help that driver is huge, and one is possibly even consider having the car towed to the next exit before changing that tire. At the very minimum, park in a place off the side of the road the best you can and maneuver the vehicle. And if it's low or you have tires that need to be replaced, don't put it on the road. Wait and get some tires.
Billy, sorry to hear about your friends. What we like to do is, as tow truck drivers, when we pull up to one, if it's kind of one of those scenarios where we have to change the tire on the side of the interstate, we'll kind of put the tow truck behind the what we call casualty, being the vehicle that we're attending to, and we'll kind of aim it at an angle to that way if something in which, you know, when you're dealing with the tractor trailer, you're dealing with a whole different size monster at that point. So what we'll do is we'll aim the tow truck, though, off to the right. That way if someone does doze off, come off the shoulder road, they hit the back of the tow truck, and it sends the tow truck down into the ditch instead of out back into traffic or into the vehicle that we're working on at the time.
Wow.
Those are some of the things that we try to do if we have to change a tire. Like Aaron said, we like to try to load the car up and get it to the next area, rest area, gas station, exit, whatever it may be, so we can try to safely change that tire there.
Absolutely. And after you leave Thompson, between Thompson and somewhere up there around Atlanta, there's like 50 miles up there. There ain't no gas station.
Oh, there's nothing.
Aaron's right.
Yeah.
Don't wait to get to a quarter tank and think you're gonna find a gas station.
I was driving back from Nashville this week, and I was that's one reason it popped into my head, because I was a little low, but I thought I had plenty enough to make it to the other one, and mine started getting a little bit close to E. Not real bad, but I was thinking about that at the time, how uncomfortable it would be if I would have been actually really close to E, and then by the time I got to a station, it probably wouldn't have may not have made it.
Yeah, we've actually it's funny you talk about Thompson. I was going to say something when Aaron said it earlier. We actually have a facility in Thompson, and I used to work up there, and I ran that one, and we had so many out of gas calls on the side of the interstate. Like you said, once you get past the 172, I think the next one is like the 130.
Yeah.
There's about 40 to 50 miles where there's just no gas stations, and especially at nighttime.
And some of them are those trick stations where they'll say one's there, you get off the road, and
it's not there, and you've wasted 3 miles now looking for a gas station, and now you're on, some back road, and it's 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, and you're scared, and you got no gas.
So keep plenty of gas in your car, wherever you're listening to this from. Don't let that gas get low. Go ahead and keep it gassed up for safety reasons, of course, and not to mention feeling better about it.
That's right. Don't put it in neutral and try to coast, because you ain't going to make it.
It's not going to make a difference.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Billy.
Billy, we really appreciate your call. Thank you very much. And the number to call is 800-224-9090. We're talking about ways to be safe if your car needs to be towed, and tips. And we have a caller here. We will go over to the next caller. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And what can we help you with?
Okay, this is George. What a 2013 Honda Accord. Someone took a turbocharger off that car. Mm-hmm. He got a turbocharger from a part place, a used part place, for another year and put it on the car. That's not going to work, is it?
Well, if it fits, sometimes they'll use the same turbo from the year for several years. I've seen cases. Now, as a general rule, they can change, but if does it look exactly like the other one?
Yeah, exactly. It looked exactly like it did fit.
Oh, it did fit.
It fit. Yeah, it did.
And if it looked like it and everything was exactly the same looking as the other one, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't.
Exact same plugs. Okay, I was just curious about that.
Yeah, there's some salvage companies that when you're buying a part, they'll tell you all the different year models that it fits. Like if you're buying it and you give them the VIN to your car, and then when they look up a turbo, they'll say, yeah, this is a year model earlier or a year model later, but it will fit according to the book that they look at. So I would, if you want to be any more sure, I would touch base with the salvage yard that you bought it from and tell them to check the numbers. But in most cases on a turbo, now it's not the case on every part, but on a turbo, if they look the same and everything hooks up well, the oil line and the pipes and all of that, then high probability you'll be fine.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime at all. You have a great day. Okay, the number to call, 800-224-9090. If you have a question about your car, your truck, or your SUV, you give us a call, and we will go over to, let's go to Carol. Carol, welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, Carol. Yeah. Hey, Carol. I'm so glad you called. We got about a minute, though, and then we're going to be closing this hour out. What can I help with?
Well, basically, two things. I wanted to just say the Dexter and people going.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fading in and out, Carol. You're not going to well, Georgia games are not going on right now, so you're fading in and out.
Are you there?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay, all right. I was just talking about, Chancey's fine family, wonderful folks. Dwayne was a great guy. I could call him at 1 o'clock in the morning. If he could help you, he would. But remind people as far as towing, sort of like knowing a mechanic or knowing an auto body guy, before you need a tow truck, know who you're going to call. Because here in the Augusta area, we've got a lot of really fine people in the towing business, but there are some new people in town, and they're doing some less than scrupulous things. Your car will get towed, and then you got to bail it out, and you get $1,000 bill or something like that to get your car out of hock, even though you just simply had it towed in from an accident or something.
Carol,
be careful and know who want to tow your car before you need it.
And I'm going to get you to call, if you don't mind, I'm going to get you to call back during the second hour because you will have some great tips. So we'll be right, we're going to close this hour out,
okay,
but we will be back for more very shortly with the C&C Auto Show.
All right.
And we do welcome you back to the second hour of the C&C Auto Show. I'm your host, Aaron Clements. On this show, we talk about all things transportation, whether you're a car enthusiast, maybe looking for some advice on how to maintain your vehicle, or just someone who appreciates a good travel story. This show is for you. We'll be covering everything automotive, from repairs to electric vehicles to even the latest transportation technologies news. And so you give us a call. So get ready, buckle up, and join the ride. I am having a great time here talking to Dexter, Chancey. Dexter, are we ready again?
Yeah, let's get at it.
Yeah, let's go for it. We had some great phone calls during the last hour. I feel like we shared some good tips myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think everything went really good. And we'll be talking about anything from towing to recovery of vehicles to how to stay safe on the side of the road and just general road safety. So we got a lot of things to cover, and I'm hoping that we get a lot of great phone calls because that's what we love doing. So if you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV or towing, give us a call, number 800-224-9090. And you can also watch us live on Facebook or YouTube. And, I just can't help it. When I see a phone call, I just enjoy going there. So I think it would be great if we go to our next caller, and let's talk. And welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
What if a stranded motorist in need of towing doesn't know where they are? Can GPS coordinates be used by the towing company to find them? And if so, how would a stranded motorist who doesn't know where they are do that?
A lot of the software that's out now, we use something called Towbook. It actually allows us to send a message to your phone, and a lot of this requires a smartphone or a text. Just receive a text, honestly. We'll send a message to your phone, and it will allow us to basically GPS coordinate where you are. A lot of the motor clubs that do towing, like Geico, USAA, AAA, stuff like that, they also have those means where you'll be on the phone with a customer service representative, and they'll ask you to allow notifications or allow access to your location at that time That way they can kind of find you before we talk to you. But we also have those means as well.
Okay, well, good. That's good to know. But
Yes, sir.
but if you're in that situation, the party you're talking to will tell you what to do and how to get that done.
Yes, sir. Most of the times through your insurance companies, and if they can't, not all insurance companies offer that feature, but like I said, we do, and maybe not all towing companies do, but we do in our area. A lot of the technology that's coming out in the towing industry is kind of getting more towards helping people that don't know where they are. And then you also have, on top of that, the drivers that run up and down the road on a daily basis, they're so familiar with the area that if you can describe what you went past or kind of even where you are as the driver calls you as he's en route to come and pick up your vehicle, he can kind of get a better understanding since he is the one out there on the road. He can get a little bit better understanding at where you are and help find you a little bit easier.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That was a great question. We appreciate that very much. Okay, the number to call is 800-224-9090. And I think that brings up another item that it's worth mentioning. Many times people feel like that they need to explain to a tow truck driver exactly the directions of where they're at, how to get there, and they'll say, hey, go up to that road and turn to the right, go to this road and turn to the left. Many times it's absolutely fine just to say, this is my address.
Right.
So if you broke down, if you're on the side of the road, you may not be able to do that. You may need to do something like you're talking about there. But if you're in a city of any kind and you see an address on a building somewhere, get that address. Or if you're at home, just give them your address. And a lot of times it's not bad to say what area. And like I'm at this number in Evans, I'm at this number in Blythe, I'm at this number in Harlem, and give them just a general location just to make sure everything's lining up for the driver. But in most cases, you don't really need to give all the directions on how to get there. Is that correct?
That is, and we understand, being from on both sides of the spectrum, that as a customer, you're already having a bad day, so you just kind of feel like whatever you can do to help the situation, maybe if I can just tell them exactly how to get to me, you'll have somebody that breaks down on the side of the road and they'll say, oh, I'm 6 miles past Bobby Jones, and they'll be sitting, right by a mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
Not, like I said, not to be ugly, but maybe you're not aware in that situation, and that's hopefully what we can address some is that kind of, hey, look at your surroundings. I'm right at this mailbox. I'm going to give you this address number. This is where I am.
Yeah.
And that just kind of
whatever
can speed up the process.
I know that y'all are more than willing to adapt to whatever situation it is, but sometimes it just makes it easier for you not to have to give all of the information that you do. Now, they may ask you a question. They might say, now, is this in a certain area? Is this near the mall, or is this that? That way, they'll just coordinate to make sure all of it's lining up. But you don't have to give the directions like that. But if you want to, I'm sure that's fine too.
Yeah. The quicker we can get the call put in and get the specifications on where you are, the quicker we can try to get somebody out to you as well.
Now that leads to another question. Roughly, how many cars would you say on an average day do you have are pulled?
Monday through Friday are always busier than the weekends. We run a little bit more of a crew, and we run every other weekend with our other guys with our crew. We split weekends. We run between 150 and 200 tows a day.
Wow. That's a lot of cars being towed in. And the reason I wanted to mention that is to give the listeners a little bit of a context of how that of the size operation this is. Now, how do you coordinate that many pulls? You got 150 people calling in during the course of a day, and each one of them probably feel like theirs is the most important one. How do you coordinate and give it a priority list of how to make these tows or get them done?
We try to base it on basically time and emergency status. So time, what I mean is as the calls come in, as they come in numerical or chronological order, we'll base them that way. And then we'll also try to look at, if it's at your house and it's been sitting for, a couple years and you're just getting some work done to it, and you can leave the keys with it or something like that, or versus if, there's been an accident and the police are involved and we have to basically drop everything else and unfortunately leave those people waiting and go clear the road for the accident. Mm-hmm. And then you have the people that are sitting on the side of the road. They kind of fall right after the accident calls. So we don't want, because like we spoke about earlier, is the side of the road is an unsafe area in any situation. So we don't want you to sit on the side of the road. We want to get you off the side of the road and get you to a safe location, whether it be to get your vehicle repaired or just get you back home. Mm-hmm. So, that is our goal. Is we wish that we could attend to everybody. I mean, everybody's case is an emergency.
Yes.
But some of them, unfortunately, fall a little bit higher up than others do.
Yeah, and no doubt the accidents. And that is that's one of the things I was going to ask. How do you towing accidents, you have to see some terrible things. How do the drivers handle that emotionally?
Honestly, you just kind of, it's just, when we do our training and all in-house, it's just kind of part of the job. We kind of explain it a little bit, kind of some of the things you may see. It's easier to me the longer you do it. You just kind of learn to kind of deal with it, and you kind of see all of it. So it's almost normal at that point for me and for anybody that's been in the industry for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I imagine it has to have an effect, though, after a little bit. We'll talk about more about towing, and we're ready for your calls, 800-224-9090. Give us a call. We'll be right back after this. The C&C Auto Show. I was talking with Dexter and about towing and towing accidents and this is a hard part, and it's not something you want to talk about if there's any kids around, so we don't want those listening in on this part, but you could tell that something was on his mind when we were talking about towing wrecked vehicles, and I know that sometimes tow truck drivers have to deal with some terrible stuff when they're dealing with wrecked cars. And I think it's important for people, if we're talking about the life of tow truck driving and giving the tips and all that, I think it's important to know what some of the things is that they have to deal with. Dexter, you were telling me about an accident that you went to where it was a person who they took a person to the hospital, but then the father come up. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, the incident was the driver was unconscious. Ambulance got there, attended to them, took them to the hospital. They were unaware that there was another occupant in the vehicle, being a child. And the child was actually still in the vehicle as we were recovering it, and then the father showed up on scene and, hysterical, where's my son? Where's my son? And a lot of us didn't really know what he was talking about, and you just kind of eavesdropping, wondering what's going on. And come to find out, the son was in the back part of the vehicle. It was an SUV. The son was in the back part of the vehicle under some debris and some things that were in the vehicle. I say debris, I don't just mean car parts. I mean, things that
packages.
were packages. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the mother had been shopping or something along those lines. And there was debris in the back of the vehicle and things like that. And they actually found the child deceased in the back of the car. Wow. And that one hit then, but it didn't really hit until I had my own children. And it kind of, like I said, it kind of wakes you up and makes you realize that, how helpless you are in that situation. And there's nothing that you can do or say to really kind of make that go away, or even
you have to think about it. It's
yeah, absolutely.
You.
Yeah, you think about it
with
on
you. And I think that's one of the things to remember. The tow truck drivers, they do go through a lot. There's a lot of danger involved because the vehicles, they're helping people in the middle of heavy traffic.
AC Proctor's Paint and Body collision.
But also they're dealing with seeing things that they don't want to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're doing that in order to help people because somebody has to be there to help. So man, that would be a tough one for me also. Okay, let's go over to talk to Carol. Carol, welcome back to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help with?
Hey, Aaron, it's
Yes.
me again. You asked me to call back again.
I did because I wanted to. You always got a lot of tips about different things, and you mentioned the things to do with the towing service, and I agree with you 100%. If the time to find the person who's going to tow your vehicle, whether it's in an accident or whether it's broken down or whatever, is before you need that person. It's much better to go ahead and know all the details early. So that was a great point, and I know you always have a lot more.
Yeah, that was true. And then you two were talking about, Dexter was talking about, I'm 60 years old, and I've been going out on tow trucks since I was 13 or 14 years old. And, some of the most horrific things that I can ever remember in my life were similar situations to what Dexter was talking about, there was other people in the car, and, the deputies or we didn't know that there was a deceased person somewhere in the vehicle, or just some of the situations. And tow truck drivers go through, it's a very stressful, very dangerous situation that you're put in on the side of the road when cars are going by, 70, 80 miles an hour, and you're trying to help somebody. So it can be a bad, stressful situation.
Yeah, it's not as easy as some people make it look, right? In the TV shows and all that, you don't just back up and hook up a car and leave and stuff like that. It's a lot more that goes into it than just towing a car. So,
and I've done my share of towing also, and I still remember a tow truck that we had a long time ago. That truck, if you hook something light up to it, it did good. But if you hook something very heavy, it was an Eagle Claw, anything very heavy, I mean, and especially if the road was just a little bit wet, I mean, you would just hit the brakes and boom.
Yeah, you're getting pushed all over
You'd
the
actually
place.
go faster after you hit the brakes than before you hit the brakes. And so it can be some stressful times, but I couldn't imagine seeing some of the things that I'm sure you two have seen and don't want to, but I know that we're very fortunate to have people there to help others take care of things the best that can be taken care of at the time.
Well, when somebody fusses about a tow bill being a couple of $100, they don't think that sometimes that a record driver might have had to go swimming in Butler Creek in the middle of January when it's 20 degrees outside.
Exactly.
I'm sure Dexter can agree with me. It gets kind of cold.
Yeah, it gets a little nippy in there.
Carol, we always appreciate you calling. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Carol.
Y'all have a good weekend.
Oh,
Yes,
you
sir.
did the same. Thank you. Okay, the number to call is 800-224-9090. And we got about a minute, but we want to mention how can a person, if they're interested in being a tow truck driver, we've talked a little bit about some of the downside, but there's a lot of upsides. It could be a very great career for people who's interested in doing that. And I know a lot of drivers that have done very well. What would be some of the best ways a person could get involved with towing vehicles?
We actually we allow people to come in and fill out applications at our place of business and kind of call if they're interested. I'm more than happy to talk. I could talk about this all day. I mean, it's been my life. It is my life. A lot of other towing companies are probably along those same lines. Look up reputable towing companies in your area. Maybe if you're interested, find someone that would be willing to let you kind of walk around or maybe do a ride along and kind of do some stuff like that.
Find out if you're interested in it.
Or some people get interested just from seeing their car towed. They're like, man, this is really neat. Maybe I want to do this. Talk to the driver that comes out there. Maybe kind of pick his brain just a little bit, just to kind of ask him some questions.
Yeah, and I'm sure most any reputable company would welcome someone who wants to find out if they're interested in that. We'll as soon as we return, we'll be going to James, and we'll be right back after this. See, and we are having a great time. We're answering questions, talking about towing, talking about car repairs. and sharing some tips, sharing some good times, sharing some bad times, things that might have come up over the years. And we are also answering phone calls. If you have a question, go to 800-224-9090, and we will go over and talk to James. James, welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Well, this is some information we can all use today. Aaron,
yes.
Dexter, and, of course, Mason. Good day to you all. And I have, I guess, 3 ideas or 3 topics in the continuum of maybe an experience that Dexter faces regularly, if I may.
Yes, absolutely you can.
So number 1, when you first have a breakdown on the side of the road, and let's say, for example, that this is not in a parking lot where you can go safely into a business and wait and so forth. Let's say you're one of those cars we've seen many times along the side of an interstate or a rural road where there's no place to safely be. Do the statistics and studies, Dexter, suggest that you should stay in your car or get out of your car and be some distance away from it? And, of course, that's from the hazards of not only other vehicular traffic, but, of course, there's other hazards when you're stopped and disabled from other maybe characters that you might encounter in a rural or an uninhabited area. So what's the data say, in the car or out?
Honestly, that's kind of a double-sided coin. There are actually 2 sides to that. Sometimes, depending on, like we spoke of earlier, flat tire situation, let's say it's 20, 30 degrees outside and you break down and you're in a not-so-great area, I would suggest staying in the vehicle, and statistics show that if you're in the vehicle, you can stay warm. You're in a, especially the newer stuff with all the airbags and safety stuff in them, that's kind of the safest place to be as far as to keep you out of the weather and such. Now, we've had people that also break down in bad locations, and there's like I said, the other side of that coin and spectrum is where, say your car is not running, it's 100 degrees outside, and you're sitting in the car and you're in a really bad area. If you can kind of get out of the vehicle, maybe go stand right at the edge of the wood line in some shade with some water or something like that. A lot of times there are drivers, when they come out, they'll also offer water to customers and so forth. So like I said, there's not really just a one correct answer.
There's probably
in this
so
situation.
many variables that you just about have to make some of those decisions for that particular moment.
It is.
In other words, how dangerous is it to be in the car? Is the cars like on 285 in Atlanta? I probably would I would try to get over as far as I could, but I'd probably still stay in the vehicle because I would know that there's one of those trucks going to pull up anytime. But there's a lot of variables there.
And then basically kind of going off what Aaron said, you have to think in terms of what can take, not really what can take, but what can handle the impact of another vehicle better. Your vehicle with you in it in a safety belt, or the airbag system, or just your body, because the human body is just going to, unfortunately, not hold up to a car hitting it at any kind of speed, versus your vehicle that you're safely in.
But the biggest thing also is cutting those flashers on. Try to make the vehicle as visible as you possibly
yes,
can. Sir. And hazard lights is, of course, one of the main steps of that.
That's right.
That's a great question, though, James, because a lot of times I can't help but wonder about things like that myself. Are you better inside or outside? But in most cases, I would say I would probably be inside, but I'm sure there would be some to where I would say, hey, I'm going to get away from this car.
Yeah, like if you're broke down in the middle of the road and you can't move, try to safely exit the vehicle. And like I said, if there's a wood line or something like that, because the odds of, I don't have the actual statistic in front of me, but the odds that somebody's going to rear end your vehicle, I mean, you could be sitting there in the middle of the road with your hazards on and people are going to be behind you blowing the horn, wondering what you're doing in the middle of the road. You're like, I can't go anywhere. I'm broke down. What do you want me to do? Mm-hmm. So, maybe at that point, maybe try to safely exit the vehicle if you're near a red light as traffic kind of backs up. Maybe at that point, but, just it's like Aaron said, it's more of a on basis kind of thing. Yeah, it's a judgment
Got to
call.
make that decision. All right.
I also like to reference. Yes.
No, well, once you get done, James, I was going to read a new tech tip quiz for you because you may know the answer. But you go ahead with your part first.
Good, thank you. And touching with what Carol was talking about, not only knowing what a good towing service is for you in your area, there's the expanded notion of the folks who take the longer trips. So under those circumstances where you're not in Dexter's area, and if you knew him, and as a good provider, you'd have that at home. But we're on a highway. Do you get some sort of a purification of suppliers of towing, recovery equipment, when you're using someone like AAA? Do they do some vetting for you to sort of keep you out of the woods and the weeds, say, that Carol was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Every motor club has a preferred service provider list. So what they'll do is they'll go based off ETAs, how quickly somebody can get to you. They'll also go based off the credibility and stature of that company as to taking care of their members, customer service. Like Geico and AAA, they do background checks on top of the background checks that we do to make sure that you don't just have anybody coming out to come and pick your car up. And they do that based in your area off of, like I said, longevity, stature, credibility, and so forth like that. They'll kind of do some homework for you and kind of figure out who's going to be best suited. Now, they may go down that list if those quote-unquote top-tier providers, if those preferred providers are busy, they may move down that list some and get to a lower, third or fourth person on that list, but there's still going to be a credible service if they're towing for that motor club or that company.
Yeah, and we're AAA approved for auto repair, not towing, but we're approved for auto repair, and that's one of the and Chancey is approved for AAA towing.
Right.
That's one reason they tow a lot of vehicles here. But with us, we went through an extensive inspection, testing, and it's ongoing for us to be an approved AAA auto repair facility, to where they checked every piece of our equipment, they check our insurance, they check just a whole make sure we have certified people. It's a pretty rigorous process to go through, and I'm sure it would be the same with towing.
Yeah, and if they don't have someone in that immediate area, there's normally someone in the surrounding area. They'll do what's called an out-of-area tow, and they'll have a company that is reputable to them and good for them. They'll have them come from a little bit further out, which sometimes doesn't so much make sense. You may have to wait a little bit longer, but that's to ensure that you can get that better service and make sure that it's what their standard is.
Great question, James.
I've been towed once, and I noticed since it was only the two of us, I noticed that had a bench cab in it. I'm glad there weren't more than two of us because, of course, there's a driver, that's three, that filled that truck. I said, I just don't happen to see, however, crew cabs on tow trucks and recovery vehicles to accommodate when you might have three people or four people in a car. Is that coming around? Do you have cabs like that to carry the folks and the rigs?
Well, now a lot of our newer rigs that we have, we used to run what was called a Nissan UD, which is pretty much what you're saying is like a bench or a flip-up seat in the middle, so you could only fit two. You could legally only have two people ride in there, and of course you can't have anybody ride in the vehicle on the back. That's super unsafe. But now we run these crew cab Freightliners. Well, it's an extended cab Freightliner, I apologize. It has a bench seat across the back, which can hold 3 to 4 people. And then it has the passenger seat and, of course, the driver. So they're getting more to a point where it was more, like you said, there just wasn't the cabs weren't out there and being made that way to accommodate that amount of people. And most motor clubs only require tow companies to haul 2 people safely. I don't know where that statistic came from, because families of 5 or 6 people, are going down the road, and where do you put all these people? You call it Uber or a taxi on the side of the interstate. Tow truck gets there, you have to wait with the people. You can't just leave them sitting on the side of the road till the taxi gets there. So that's a great question.
Tight.
What's that?
Even though the cab was tight, it was summertime, man. I got to tell you, it was cool in there. I was glad to get in there no matter how tight.
All right.
Aaron's
James.
Tech tip quiz.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to lay this out, and then we will go to our break, and it'll give you time to think about this thing. All right. And, of course, you know all the prize packages and all that. What type of airplanes are used, and how fast do they go during a Thunderbird's air show, plus how low do they go? And we'll be looking for the answer as soon as we return with more of the C&C Auto Show. Be back to the C&C Auto Show, and wanted to mention that that Dexter here, while we were on the break, he got a phone call, and the reason I want to mention this is it's in the life of the tow truck driver and company owner, is that things like this happen. He is going to immediately, when he leaves here, he's got to go help with a fairly large accident. Won't go into details on any of that, but it's an accident that's happened, and it's going to require some very large equipment, a fairly large crew, and so he's going to be cutting out right after this to go handle that. So he's already looking at his watch. He was on the phone during the break. And we were just talking a few minutes ago how he can get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning, and boom, he's got to be gone out the door. Dexter, we're going to be finished up here very shortly because I know you got some running to do. You've already talked to your team members, and they're getting stuff ready and getting it sounds almost like a fire department when you were talking to them.
It feels like it sometimes.
Yeah, and jumping out and getting ready to go. Okay, we were talking to James, and James is still on the line with us. And James, you I gave you the tech tip quiz before we went on the break, and I'm going to read that one more time. And that's what type of airplanes are used and how fast did they go during the Thunderbird show, and plus how low do they go? Okay, what's the answer, James? Oh.
Yep.
Now, what is the answer to today's Tech Tip quiz?
Okay, this required the mustering of the full detail research team over here today. That'd be, of course, Joan and I.
That'll work.
Yeah, she's got most of it right here, and I got some of it. So here we go. We've been a team for a long time, and I guess it works best that way always.
Yes, it does.
What kind of plane is it? Looks like it's an F-16 Fighting Falcon from Lockheed Martin. The maneuvers are done at performance speeds exceeding 400 miles an hour, but there is times when they'll have a two solo aircraft will highlight some of the, as I read, extreme capabilities of the F-16, and they'll execute maneuvers as low as 100 feet off the ground at speeds of over 700 miles an hour, which during the high-speed maneuvers, the shock cone is sometimes visible as the jet teeters on the edge of the sound barrier.
Wow. So and that is amazing.
We had in just a few minutes of looking around.
And, James, if I'm not mistaken, you're going to be joining me with the show this coming 1 week from today. We will be doing a show at Augusta Regional Airport. The Thunderbirds will be there, and they will be performing at speeds 400 to 700 miles an hour, 100 feet off the ground, and that'll be the F-16. And I think they're using the C or D models, if I'm not mistaken. But that is just an unbelievably wonderful air show to watch those jets. That's one of my favorite airplanes. Now, of course, my favorite is a lot older than that one. It's actually the F-4 is my favorite fighter jet. And, of course, there's the newer ones, the F-22 and the F-35. As a matter of fact, I think the Thunderbirds also have a version of the F-22 or an F-22 that they're using at different shows. But it's just absolutely beautiful show. So anyone that can, it would be a great idea to, well, first tune into the C&C Auto Show that morning and listen to our live show there, but then be at the location, be at Augusta Regional if there's any way you can. And if you're not in this area, whatever area that you're in, find out when the air show is going to be near you and go see the Thunderbirds because it is a beautiful sight.
So I don't think I'm getting the foghorn, Joan and I, am I?
Well, let me see. We got to put that in front of the judges. Let's see what they say. No. Wait. He, the guy shook his head. He said,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
all right, James, you are a winner. You have won, and we appreciate you doing that. And of course, I have you and John both some beautiful shirts that we're going to be wearing at the air show this coming week. It's going to look really good.
Well, another great show. Dexter, be careful. We know you're going to do something good today for some people, so you did some good for all of us out here. We learned stuff. Always a good Saturday morning.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
He knows John. He's in for a wild Saturday already.
Yeah.
He's getting ready. Hey, thank you, James.
Good day.
Okay. The number to call, 800-224-9090. If you have a question about your car, truck, your SUV, if you have a question about towing vehicles, and what if a person had a car that needed to be towed, what would be one item that you would say would be huge for the tow truck driver to have?
The keys.
The keys!
Yeah, the keys, for sure, the keys.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need the keys, but they always make it a lot easier.
Makes it much easier. And this happens from time to time. Someone will have a car that needs to be towed, and let's say that it'll be at a grocery store. Mm-hmm. And they call their friend, and they say, hey, can you come pick me up? And I'm going to have my car towed tomorrow morning. So they go. And then they call the tow truck company, and they say, hey, I need my car towed. It's at the Kroger store at so-and-so. And the person talking on the phone says, well, where's the keys? Oh, I got them. So
yeah,
then
exactly.
The driver has to figure a way to get those keys because it is possible to move it without the keys, but it's a lot more trouble, so it's even worth the time for them to even if they had to drive an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes to get the keys, it's easier to go ahead and do that. And not to mention the shop that you're going to pull it to, many times if you don't have the key and they just drop it, that shop has a blocked area that they can't move the car until they get the keys. So always have a system set up to leave the keys somewhere. If it's a store, you can leave them with somebody, but also don't tell anybody else that I'm saying this. I mean, in matter of fact, let's keep this real quiet, just between us. You can leave them over the wheel, or you can leave them in the gas cap
over the wheel,
or something like that.
Floor mat.
Nobody else heard that, but you did. I mean, so. But if you need your car, leave the keys somewhere. If it's in a truck, just put it in the bed of the truck and kind of put something over it, and whatever you need to do.
And like we spoke about earlier, time is everything, right? Because you feel like you're sitting on the side of the road, you feel like you're waiting forever. So every minute that we can kind of shave off and be a little bit faster is faster that we can get to that next person. So if you don't leave your keys and then you say, oh, I'll be there in 10 minutes, that's 10 minutes that the driver's waiting. That may not seem like much, but that's 10 more minutes that the next person now has to wait.
And if 6 people do that, you got an hour gone out of the driver's day.
Exactly. That's an hour gone out of the day, and it may not seem like much on the small scale of things, but like you just said, when you break it down to the full day, I mean, that's an hour, and that could be 1 to 2 more cars that could have gotten, towed or customers that could have gotten service.
And I'm going to cover 2 other tips really quick because we're going to run out of time. One, if a person has AAA or an insurance company, but they know you would probably be the one pulling it, should they call the AAA company or should they call you first?
So through AAA, you kind of have to call AAA first.
Yep.
Because if you call us, then we have to bill you for it. Then you have to seek reimbursement from AAA. Now, if you just don't feel like talking to AAA or anything like that, you can do that. AAA will reimburse you and handle all that. But, it's easier to cover through your membership. Just
last
through
thing,
AAA.
that I wanted to make sure we mentioned. If you have a vehicle that has locking lugs, have the key to the lug.
Yeah, the key.
Make sure that you have the key,
key is
somewhere
the key.
and you know where it is.
The key
because
is the
if
key.
that driver gets out there and needs to change a tire and you have locking lugs and you don't have the key to it, that can take that driver hours of extra time. Okay, we are out of time. Time to shut her down for now. Also want to give a big thank you to the show producer in there, Mason Rogers. Want to say thank you very much to Dexter for being here.
Yes, sir.
Chancey
Thank you, Aaron.
Towing. Appreciate all that you do. Appreciate what you're getting ready to go do to help some people there. We hope that everyone found our advice helpful and informative. And don't forget to tune in next time for more tips, more tricks on how to keep your transportation running smoothly. And thank you for listening to the C&C Auto Show.